Welcome once again to join us on Top Stories after receiving those Americans who traced their origins to Cameroon and now privileged to host Bumako. He is a renowned publisher. Welcome to join us on Top Stories.
Thank you, my dear. Thank
Bumako,
you very much.
You watch with me the Americans who trace their ancestral origin to Cameroon. What kind of impression do you have when you hear people struggle to trace their origins to Cameroon?
Well, you know, this is the movement. It's a kind of movement that has been going on since the 60s, because there has been a lot of black Americans who had been trying to trace their whereabouts. And they always want to know where they came from or their ancestors. Because, you know, nobody wants to live without knowing where he was born or where he came from. And this initiative that has been going on now, for the first time, it was last year that I first heard of it, that some Americans, black Americans, are tracing their roots to Cameroon. You know, it's the first time I heard of Cameroon. We heard of other countries, but not Cameroon. So I think it's a good initiative, and we should welcome them.
Do we stand to benefit anything from?
I think we should not start. We should not start by talking about benefits.
People always think about what they gain.
Yeah, you have to think about what you gain. But you see, have a feeling for these people. These are people who have lived in an environment which is not ours, and now they want to relocate. They want to find their origin. They want to find where they came from, where they belonged, and if they can say, as they say, from their DNA, it proved that they were born, or their parents, their forefathers came from...
the fifth generation came from Cameroon.
Whatever, came from Cameroon. It's something we should be delighted in. First of all, to know that there are some people of ours who left.
And are now coming back.
And are now coming back.
Okay.
And for this reason, we should begin to think about those who, permit me to use the word because it is history, those who sold them to America or to any other country. Now, those chiefs, those people who did that, should have some feelings now for them.
Okay.
So I think that it's a welcoming thing in the first place. Secondly, I think that it's welcoming because now we talk of transfer of technology.
They are going to help transfer the technology.
They are going to help us because...
And
they know how. You know, transfer of technology is not something you just do overnight. Yeah. It takes time to do. And I think it will be a great thing for us to benefit from them for what they would bring and also what they are taking from us as well.
Okay, within the week, the Minister of Finance came out with a circular suppressing some benefits civil servants used to enjoy. Tamfu Harrison now revisits the new measures put in place by Alamin Usman Mej as he struggles to combat corruption.
The new measures on the execution and control of state budget are contained in a circular signed by the Minister of Finance. Among the major decisions, the minister has stopped pay diems during seminars and cancelled payment of bills by cash. He has also reduced government delegation to missions abroad and restricted circulation of cash in ministries. The measures also provide that payment of taxes would henceforth be effected by professional groups. According to the minister, the stringent measures are meant to put an end to wasteful spending and corruption in the execution of state budget. The circular states that the main goal of the state budget is to upgrade the standard of living of the population and enhance development. And those measures, according to the minister, are geared toward that goal. The minister insisted that the Greater Accomplishments Project of Paul Biya can only be attained if the measures are fully implemented. It is not the first time such measures have been announced. In the past, civil servants have been defiant. There is no guarantee for now whether or not they are going to respect the measures.
Now we all followed the report. What do you make of the measures which have been taken by the Minister of Finance?
Well, I think that this is a new step, and we could say that's a new attempt to go over an old
It is a new attempt, because
yes,
we hear from the report it's not the first time.
It is not the first time,
yes,
but this time with a difference. The difference being that this is a man who is a businessman. Let me put it that way, plain. He has come into government now with a business approach. He has been in the private sector for some time, and he understands what is going on. And I think that for him to try to suppress these things that had been talked about for a long time, but no initiative was taken to stop it, I think he's going to find a method of stopping it.
Is he not biting more than he will be able to chew?
We cannot say so now,
because the first time he came out, he said all private companies will have to pay their taxes directly to banks and no longer on the counters of treasuries.
Yes.
Is he not going to bite more than he's going to chew?
I do not think so, because I think he must have studied the situation. He understands banking. And I know that from his perspective, he wants to make the banks be more approachable to the business people, so that the business people, it's a kind of a partnership that he wants to try to create, so that business people should see the influences that banks can play, as well as paying their taxes to government. Because, you know, the business people are the ones who are collecting the taxes.
Exactly.
So if they collect the taxes, they pay it through the bank. And if the bank now pays it to the government, I think there would be some, those middlemen
will have to be eliminated
be
subsequently.
Caught. And that is where I think the problem would be, because these middlemen would not want to go out.
So they might act like a stumbling block.
They may act like a stumbling block, but as I said, I think for him to come up with such an initiative, he must have been struggling.
Well thought out.
Yes, he has thought it out.
Now, the Ministry of Public Health came out within the week and said the cholera epidemic, which attacked the entire Cameroon in the year 2011, has subsided in the year 2012, which is just starting. They said so far only the littoral and the center regions have been hit by the cholera epidemic. The trouble centers around water, and in the nation's capital, that is Yaoundé, the government is now distributing water to the locals through the use of tankers. Roland Akong has been upbeat of following up what is happening with water supply in Yaoundé.
This is what it takes to have access to potable water now in some neediest Yaoundé neighborhoods. Women and children cover long distances, line up with rows of buckets, waiting for this tanker to obtain the precious liquid of life. According to this official, this tanker passes twice a week in the Mendong neighborhood to supply inhabitants with potable water.
Par exemple, moi je passe ici à Mendong 2 fois par semaine, les lundis et les vendredis.
This distribution is government's response to the acute shortage of potable water in Yaoundé. It was announced a fortnight ago during a press briefing by government spokesperson Issa Chiroma.
City of Yaoundé.
Commentators say it is regrettable that inhabitants in the capital city of a country that is moving towards emergence with a government of greater accomplishments, its population is obtaining potable water from a tanker.
Mr. Bumako, you watch what is happening in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, and there are indications that such moves might eventually be brought to the economic capital, Douala. You've been living in Cameroon, you've been out of Cameroon. When you see Cameroonians rushing behind a truck for potable water, what do you make of that?
It's a good thing for a start. I say it's a good thing because there are some places they don't have water. I have been in places where we don't have water in the hotel. But let's come back to our country. You know, this water problem in Yaoundé, for instance, is not today. I remember I wrote a piece in 1999 on the water shortage in Yaoundé. And at that time, Yaoundé went for a week without water. And the head of state, on the 6th of October 1999, made a statement that he would see into this water problem. And today, we are still talking about water in Yaoundé. Now, not only in Yaoundé, Douala, Bamenda, Boya, we have this problem of water. Now, the question is, what is the real problem? I think that monopoly is killing the process. Every good thing that the government may want to do has been thwarted because we have still monopolistic tendencies. Why not have other suppliers of water, other suppliers of electricity? Why the monopoly? I think we need to open up now. We are in a liberalized economy. We should open up for more people to supply water, and we would be able to have different people with different methodology of working.
Maybe those who are longing to maybe...
There are even Cameroonians who are prepared to take the water question as their business and to expand the water situation in the country. So if it is liberalized, it will be helpful for many of the economic operators.
I understand that the problem of water scarcity has been the major cause of the cholera outbreak.
Of course, you should imagine a cholera comes from water. The result of cholera is poor water treatment. And when you take in water which is not stable to the body, you have that type of effect. That is cholera. In fact, the first time we had cholera in the 60s was in Victoria. Then it was Victoria. And it was immediately treated because it's a disease that spreads so easily. And if it is not contained, it can take the whole city. And that's why we should be very careful about this type of distribution of water. The water system that we go and everybody is rushing there, I don't know.
You doubt what might eventually happen.
And cholera as a result. But I'm happy because the Ministry of Health has taken some stringent measures to contain cholera. And they effect the campaign that is going around on the stoppage of cholera, I think is a welcome effect that they are doing.
In the wake of the debate about the organization of the upcoming twin elections, Equinox Television's Yaoundé Bureau Chief met with the Director General of the Electoral Council of Elections Cameroon, that is ELECAM. Ran Akong first sought to know from Dr. Samuel Fonkamazu what is ongoing with the electoral process. Dr. Samuel Fonkamazu.
Let me say that the exercise, like in 2009, has started up timidly. But I think we are hopeful that it will pick up steam. More especially because we now have the cleaned up list per polling station in the 10 regions. And what we are striving to do is for our teams, for the commissions, it's a mixed commission that does the registration, headed of course by someone from ELECAM. We are encouraging the commission to go to polling stations, since the lists are by polling station, so that they can ensure that people come up to verify. This will enable us, in the event where there are other cases of duplicates on this list, to eliminate them. And if in the process, while going through those lists, they notice the names of persons who have moved out of the area or persons who have died, they will signal that to us, and we would further clean up the list. So if you look at the statistics, I am not as despondent as those who don't have the statistics would have us believe. Let me give you the quick statistics. I have some figures here. As of Wednesday, Wednesday was what day? Wednesday was the 18th. Wednesday 18th. In the Northwest region, new persons who had turned up to register for the first time, we had 543, as compared to 240 in the Southwest, 550 in the West region, 2,500 in the far North, 200 in the South, and 250 in the center. We didn't have statistics. We phoned in to have a few of these statistics because I was doing an interview and I wanted to have some statistics. But if I were to go into greater detail and give you more statistics, especially about those who voted in 2007, who are coming up to confirm their registration. In the Northwest, you have 2,787. These are people who have already come up to go through the list to see if the information they provided is the right one, as against 543 who are registering for the first time. Now, what is the importance of this exercise? The importance of the exercise is that those who didn't register in 2007, who had attained the age of electoral majority, who didn't register, can now register. Those who were incapacitated in any other way by 2007, but who have regained their capacity, can now register as well. So it's a revision exercise. But more importantly, because the lists have been cleaned up, we advise all Cameroonians to come up massively to verify this list at our council branch offices for those who are near them, or in the various polling stations or nearby, as our teams will be going down.
Elections Cameroon is insisting on the revision of the list, whereas some political parties in the country are demanding a complete overhaul of the list. What's your take on that, Mr. President?
We are not against a recompilation of the electoral list. We are not against that. What we're saying simply is that given the time frame within which we are working, I think it would be risky for us to start a recompilation, because what does a recompilation entail? You are starting from scratch. That is, you discard everything, everybody comes up. It's virtually like a head count. People have to come up. In fact, they are not coming up. We have to go towards them, as we've been trying to do. Now, if we started the exercise now, you know, for the council and parliamentary elections, the President of the Republic calls voters to the polls 90 days before the date of the polls. Now, if these elections are taking place by the end of July, early August, we are getting to the end. We've gone past the middle of January already. Today is the 20th. We have just barely 11 days to the end of January. Now, we would have another, at the very best, another three months. Frankly, that is not a risk worth taking. But we are minded to do a recompilation, and I think after those elections, we're hopeful that in 2013, we should be able to embark on a recompilation of the voters' rolls.
Now, we have also allegations, Mr. President, that the rigging mechanisms decried over the years are still in place. That's why some Cameroonians are dragging their feet about registering for the upcoming twin elections.
Well, it is easy to say there's a rigging mechanism in place. Which is this rigging mechanism? May I, for instance, explain to you how the Cameroonian electoral system works? People who say these things, it's easy for people to say those things, but see how the system works. Who is responsible for registration? It is a commission, a mixed commission, headed by somebody from Eleka, on which sits a representative of the mayor, a representative of the administration, and the representatives of all of the political parties that are operating within a given area. It is this commission charged with registration. So if there is any rigging, that rigging is done by this commission. It's not done by Eleka. That is the commission. And you know that the law provides that before the lists are even published, that commission must sit down and go through those lists. In fact, the law allows one person to register, but it is a commission to take the information. It is the commission which ensures that they are transcribed into our registers. And after that, before the lists are even printed or encoded, the commission sits down in order to validate. Now, who distributes the cards? The cards are distributed by the same commission, which is transformed into the commission that registers, is transformed into the commission that distributes. On polling day, who is in charge of the polling station? It is someone from the civil society, not someone working in Eleka, who is in charge of the polling station. That person is assisted there is a representative of the administration, but more importantly, by the representatives of the candidates or of the political parties. So numerically, in a polling station, numerically, they are the party representatives who are in the majority. And we are dealing in a system where political parties or their representatives in those polling stations are not observers. They are actors. So if there's a rigging mechanism, at what level is this rigging mechanism? I am not saying, of course, that people will not try to beat the rules. I'm not saying, and it's there, the political parties themselves, or people who want to win at all costs, who would try to beat the system. But we put a system in place which should enable the stakeholders to defend their interests. And I cannot also take an oath that out of the thousands of elections